Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Emma and I make art videos, and for today's video I am working on this portrait of Daenerys from Game of Thrones. I am really excited about the new season. So far we've seen the first episode and the next one will be out in a couple of days time. But yeah, I've never made any Game of Thrones art before, and I am a pretty big fan of the show, and I thought it was about time to do so. And Daenerys is just like the most badass character. She's awesome. Like, I feel like everybody loves Daenerys, and she's beautiful as well. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to draw her portrait. And I came across this image and I thought it was really cool because of her hair. You'll see shortly I do map out her hair. Basically she's got some braids in it and it just looks really awesome. And I was like, oh, that's gonna look really cool as a pencil drawing, and I think it does turn out pretty cool. Although I must admit, the hair was like fun but annoying to draw at the same time. I'm usually a fan of drawing hair, but the braids were just kind of confusing. Like, once I got the hang of how they were drawn, it was a bit easier, but it was just like there's so much going on in the image. I was like, okay, where am I up to? What am I doing now? So that was kind of annoying, but once I kind of mapped it all out, it was a lot more fun to kind of just shade the braids and that kind of thing. And also with hair, I feel like you can kind of be a bit more loose with it if you're referencing from like a photograph and you're trying to create a realistic portrait of that, or drawing or whatever. Even if it's not a portrait, you can kind of, yeah, not be so much like, oh, I'm gonna draw this exactly as it is in the image. Like, I feel like with hair you can kind of, you know, it can be not exactly the same but it can still look right. So with the braids I kind of was like, okay, I'm just gonna keep drawing them like this where they need to go, and I'm not gonna worry if I don't have, you know, the exact same amount of pieces of braid as the reference image and that kind of thing. So yeah. Also, you will notice I am working from left to right. So for the initial sketch, I kind of work all over the place. Once I've got the proportions right, once that's all down, then I decided to work on the hair, just because I am right-handed, and if I work from right to left, I'm going to smudge what I'm working on, and that's not really a good thing. So yeah, when you're drawing, you kind of want to think about those kinds of things, like what's going to be the easiest way to do this. You know, you don't want to draw one thing and then decide later, I'm going to work on this other part, and it's really difficult because you worked on the other bit earlier. And I even do smudge some of her face when I'm working on the hair. I didn't really mind so much because I was going to go back over the face to darken it up and, you know, make it look better. And because I'd only put down a light layer of pencil, the smudging was quite light and I was easily able to erase that. But yeah, that's one thing to think about, you know, you want to go in with like a plan. Sometimes it's fun to just kind of go in and do what you want, but I think it's easier to have some kind of direction and, you know, to think, okay, it's going to be easier for me to do this part first and then I can work on that. But yeah, with this piece I definitely left the my least favorite part till last, which is like her hair down the bottom, just because it was like there wasn't a whole lot to it in the image. It was kind of all blended in, and it wasn't as easy as, say, the braids that are kind of really easily formed and really easy to see and to draw, whereas underneath, the hair at the bottom was just kind of like, it's kind of all over the place. So I did kind of just like do what I thought looked good rather than necessarily looking at the reference image and trying to replicate that exactly. And yeah, I also decided to add a little bit of shading to her face. I didn't want her face to be too dark. I think in the reference image her face was darker than that, but I wanted to keep it relatively light. And And yeah, I had a lot of fun with this piece. It was a really great practice for hair, just because that is kind of like the main part of this piece. And I do like to draw, you know, realistic portraits. I've said this before in the past. I really do love my stylized work, and that's kind of like my main thing, but I like drawing realism every now and then to kind of just help with my technical skills, and I do enjoy it as well. So yeah, anyway, that is all from me today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Here is the finished drawing, and I will see you all in my next video.